What was that? Loud and clear, go ahead. Yeah, what he said. This is a 2008 Hasbro vintage toy helmet from Captain Rex in Star Wars. And I'm not totally Captain Rex, so I'm gonna stop talking like this. Whew, it's hot in there. The reason there was no episode showing this is because I actually found it in the Goodwill bins and I completely lost all track of what store it was in. Long story. Today's video is going to be about something very different from what we've been covering on this channel. And no, this is not a departure from your standard foam flinging products. As toy review content creators, we often get approached by a myriad of companies offering different things. And it's up to each individual creator to either reject such collaborations or in some cases, like today, accept them. Now, the product that we're going to be reviewing today is a little bit different than what we normally do. However, I think a new Nerf game mode can be generated from ideas surrounding this product. About a month ago, I was approached by a company called N-Sabers. They make high quality NeoPixel and standard baselit lightsabers. Now, lightsabers are not new to the toy hobby. Ever since 1978, toy and cosplay prop lightsabers have been manufactured. Kenner, which then got purchased by Hasbro, our beloved foam flinging blaster company, have been known to make some of the most popular lightsaber toys in modern history. Of course, now there's a whole bunch of fancy pants companies. Lightsabers can range anywhere from hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars. Today we're reviewing a model called the Mandalorian, which rightfully so includes modeling of the Mandalorian helmet at the hilt, which is pretty freaking detailed and amazing. This is a different kind of toy, but I gotta tell you something, guys. This has so many features in it that I wasn't able to cram them all into whatever length 10 or 15 minutes this video is going to be. That number shall be determined. However, I'm going to try to cover the most basic features. First, we're going to take it back to when I received this product, full unboxing, everything that is inclusive with this particular model. Then we're going to run through the features a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about how this can be implemented in some capacity, inspired by American foam, into a new kind of Nerf game mode. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so the Saber comes in this brown box. Open it on one end, and you're gonna go ahead and just slide it out. Very cool graphic on the box. Got the N-Sabers logo here and the N-Sabers logo again here. Very similar to the Not Enough Nerf font letters. I like that. So here you have what appears to be a display stand. You have the actual Saber core unit, toolkit, and of course the Saber blade, all molded foam padding. I really like this. We're just gonna open this up real quick, see what's in here, see what we got. We got an instruction manual for most variations of their lightsabers. This particular one that they sent me was the NeoPixel, meaning that it has LEDs along the entire length of the blade versus just at the base, hence the baselit for the baselit model, which just has LEDs projecting from the bottom, and they tend to be brighter closer to the hilt versus the rest of the blade. The display stand seems to be a very nice laser cut plexiglass. There's also a nice little convenient brushed metal plate that goes on it, a blade plug that goes in your saber for when it's on display. It could basically illuminate some cool features that are on the actual saber, which we'll get into later. And of course, you have the attachment stud screws, you have a USB-C charging cable, and the installation Allen bolt. We're gonna assemble the Saber, and then we're gonna get to a little bit of demonstration. Let's get to it, guys. All right, guys, I would probably be here until next week if I was to show you every single feature this Saber has. We're only gonna cover the basics because then again, remember, I only decided to review this project because I thought there was potential for an alternate Nerf game, and since this is not a directly Nerf related item, it can prove useful if there are some alternate games that I'll mention later. However, this is a very cool product. If there's any of you hardcore Star Wars fans out there, you have definitely seen a lightsaber review at some point on YouTube. Most of them are the same. Some of them are a little bit superior to others, although it is one of the lower entry models on N-Sabers selection. It is the NeoPixel model, which, as I described during the unboxing, has LEDs throughout the entire blade versus just at the hilt being the baselit model. So this one's able to do a lot more things. Covering a few of the physical features very quickly. I've darkened the room in order to do the light demonstration, so just bear with me for a second. In order to charge the Saber, it's very easy. You just unscrew the hilt at this location and you plug in the included USB-C connection right here in order to charge it. What I do like about this Saber, I did watch a few reviews of other Sabers in order to compare this somewhat to its competition in its category. And one of the things that I did find out about this Saber that was very superior to the others is the amount of speaker room that this has. About a 2-inch section without the cap, and then it has the cap with some very small orifices here just to improve the acoustics, which you'll see here in a minute. I don't know how well it's going to transfer. This is a pretty good microphone, so hopefully it captures the audio pretty well. But anyway, we're going to start with the basic functions, much like the NF Strike on the Stratohawk that I covered last week. All the functions on this Saber are covered by one single button, and it's the ignition button right here. And it's all going to be determined by the amount of clicks that the ring light on it does before you ignite the Saber. If you hold it for 4 seconds, it'll boot up the Saber, meaning now all operations of the Saber are ready to be had. The first obvious one being the gesture control, which just by twisting your wrist, you can turn the Saber on or off. While the Saber is off, that's where you'll get to most settings, but there are some settings that can be accessed while the Saber is on, and I'll get to those in a minute. But for now, we're just gonna get to the basic ones. Once you let the light blink once, this is the volume control. The one blink menu is the volume control. You have high volume, low volume, and mute. When I started with the Saber, it was on mute. It was just the light only. Now, we have it on high volume. The Saber does have sounds for all the movements. I personally like the low volume a little bit better. I think it sounds a little bit more accurate and not overly done. It doesn't stress the speaker out, and it's probably better for the battery life of the Saber. Much better like that. So we've covered the one blink menu, which is volume. The two blink menu is ignition. There's 11 of them on here. I'm gonna go through all 11 really, really quickly, and then we're gonna get into menu 3. Let's get on with it. So here's ignition 1.
Ignition 1.
Just your standard lightsaber ignition.
Ignition 2.
Something a little bit more crazy.
Ignition 3.
Something a little crazier.
Ignition 4.
Really cool stepped kind of ignition.
Ignition 5.
Meeting in the middle kind of ignition, kind of cool as well.
Ignition 6. Ignition 7.
A little bit more of a traditional ignition, but with a bright flash at the hilt.
Ignition 8.
I don't know if the lighting does this any justice at all because we're not in a completely dark room. This will just have to do for now. And those are just some of the ignitions. Now there's also the blade sets, which is the way and pattern in which the blade glows once it's on. The blade set is chosen with the 3 blink menu. Basically, you hold down this button until you get 3 blinks, and then it's gonna take you through all the blade sets. There's 11 ignition styles. There's 9 blade sets. I'm just gonna show you a couple of them so you can get an idea of what we're talking about here. This was more like a glowy, flashy kind of blade set.
Basic 2.
Blade set 2 is basically your common lightsaber blade with a little bit of just occasional flashing along the blade.
Basic 4.
Getting to a little bit more of the cooler blade sets. This is blade set 4. It has kind of like an RGB effect along the entire length of the saber. Cool for party effects, I guess.
Basic 5.
Blade set 5 is more like a strobe effect. I know the camera doesn't do it justice. I have this recording on 30 frames, but it's a very fast, very bright strobe, almost vertigo inducing. But there you can see some of the effects. Very cool.
Basic 6.
More along the same lines, except occasional flashes along the entire blade.
I am told it is the Dark Saber.
Now, when you do 4 blinks, it takes you into what's called actual fonts, the fonts menu. What this is, it's basically each character that has ever wielded a lightsaber or a dark saber in the Star Wars canon. They will have their own set of both ignition sound, ignition visuals, and blade set, in addition to a dialogue of that character when you select that font. So here I'm gonna let it blink, for example, 4 times, and you're gonna see what character is next on the roster of selection. You do have to cycle through all of them to get to the one you want. It's a little bit annoying. Then again, there's no LCD screen on this where you could just go in and select the character. It'll be cool if they eventually allow there to be some integration with your phone so that you can just select all this off of a touchscreen. It'll be a lot easier. So N-Sabers, if you're watching this, it'll be really cool if you can somehow do some kind of Bluetooth integration. Other companies probably already have it. It'll be cool if this, I think it's an Arduino chip with a micro SD in it. It'll be cool if this definitely can have some kind of app or an app link so that you can select all these characters without have to cycle through. But I'll show you guys how it is. You basically just,
Master Money.
there you go. That is the style for that character. Let's check another one out.
General Kenobi.
General Kenobi. You guys remember the classic blue saber? Now the Saber is gyroscopically motion enhanced for sound, so every time you move the Saber, you will notice a sound. There's also enhanced sounds and effects. For example, if you have the Saber on and you click the button, it'll give you the blaster laser deflection kind of sound effect and visual effect.
Impressive.
There's also blade drag. If you're holding the Saber down against the floor and you kind of gently tap it against the floor and drag it, it'll have that spark effect. Just a lot of cool things that this can do. You can also combine any font with any ignition, any blade set. It gets really intricate and complicated from here, guys. I will link a video here or here that will really go into the depths of what all this thing can do, and that's not even the end of it. Remember, there is an SD card on this Arduino chip you can download and increase the amount of fonts and sounds. I don't know what all is the volume of the total of sounds in the Star Wars canon universe, but this one already comes packed with, I would say, the bulk of the popular ones. I'm really impressed with this product. I am going to link some other videos in the description that I normally watch on people that actually have some really good talent spinning these around and being able to do very cool acrobatics with them. I certainly haven't had enough practice to do this. I'd probably break my phone or some kind of studio light in here if I attempted to do that. Time to get to our lasting impressions. Let's get it, guys. So what I have in mind as far as a Nerf game mode is the following. Right now we have human versus zombies. A bunch of people with blasters run around trying to take out multitudes. Usually there's a lot more zombies per one human than there are of humans. What I'm thinking is the same kind of ratio, but instead of zombies, we're gonna have Jedi Knights wielding these lightsabers. And then we can make it to where there's clone troopers, such as Captain Rex, wielding blasters, trying to take down these Jedi. Order 66 game mode, anybody? Or it could be the Imperial Army with soldiers, stormtroopers versus Jedi, anybody? What I'm thinking of is the Jedi would act as the proverbial fill-in zombies, where they just have to touch a player with their blade. You can, from there, figure out hundreds of game styles, nighttime, daytime, with different kind of colors and sounds on the blades. You could take the assumption of different Jedi Knights. As you were able to see, I showed off different fonts, meaning different characters from the Star Wars universe, that each one of these sabers can mimic the sounds, color, and behavior of their lightsaber blades. You could be that character in a Nerf game where there's hundreds of stormtroopers coming after you, or the other way around. I mean, I want to really know what your guys' opinion is in the comments. However, I didn't want to pass up the opportunity to review something this cool just because it's not a Nerf blaster. I thought that there's some value to be had from reviewing something cool. And if you guys follow our community posts, I did make a community post a couple nights ago asking how many of you were into Star Wars, and the amount of you that are was actually quite staggering. So hopefully this video has some good reception among you guys, and you guys are able to give us some good feedback on what you think. We have some really cool blaster mod videos coming down the pipeline. There's also gonna be a huge Pro Springer top 5 video that I am very excited to bring to you, because I have some big announcements to make that are gonna come along with that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, you're that's much better. If you enjoyed this video, you're definitely gonna like this one. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay blasting, foam fam. Hey, where's Anakin? Get Anakin over here.